Is it just me, or is there something about Kenny Loggins' music that just really kicks your nostalgia up a notch? Always does it with this movie, man. So Top Gun was directed by Tony Scott, rest in peace, younger brother of Ridley. It, of course, stars Tom Cruise as Pete Mitchell / Maverick, a hotshot fighter pilot in the Navy. And Maverick is sent to the school where the best of the best train to refine their elite flying skills. Of course, this being the Top Gun Naval Fighter Weapons School. But Maverick's reckless attitude and cocky demeanor put him at odds with the other pilots, especially the cool and collected Iceman, played by Val Kilmer. But of course, Maverick isn't only competing to be the top fighter pilot, he's also fighting for the attention of his beautiful flight instructor, Charlotte Blackwood, played by Kelly McGillis. Guys, Top Gun was a humongous deal in the summer of 1986. It only operated on a $15 million budget, which is an insanely small number for a blockbuster like this. And it had a $357 million box office return. That's how many people loved this film. And still to this very day, there are loads of people, especially in my family, who adore this movie. And I hate to admit it, I'm one of them. Top Gun is a lot of fun. I know this was not a critically acclaimed movie by any stretch of the imagination. Rotten Tomatoes only has this thing at 58%, which is preposterous, because I think this is a really well-directed film on Tony Scott's part, and may the man rest in peace. He made a lot of super underrated action movies. This isn't my favorite Tony Scott film. I think that distinction goes to True Romance. I think part of that has to do with Quentin Tarantino's dialogue in there too, but heck, what can you do? But even then, the camera work in Top Gun is freaking great. And I think if you're a film director who is looking to get into the action genre specifically, if you're somebody who wants to use shaky cam, Top Gun is a good example to look at. This is how you do shaky cam correctly, because this is in the cockpit. You're in there with Maverick. You're in there with Goose, played by Anthony Edwards. Talk to me, Goose. And I think that honestly makes these action sequences all the better. Top Gun in general, this is really, for the 1980s, really stellar action. And you don't even really get big action sequences until the climax when they're fighting the foreign enemy. All the other exciting, pulsating, heart-pounding sequences in Top Gun, whatever you want to call it, whatever adjective you want to use, it's just these planes flying around and racing each other. And holy crap, is it exciting. The sound design and sound mixing in Top Gun is a thing of beauty. Speaking of sound, oh boy, this soundtrack. One of the better soundtracks in any big blockbuster, in my personal opinion. Danger Zone by Kenny Loggins is a perfect theme song. It's like, you listen to that music and you can tell that the movie's made in the 80s. And that can be a bit of a problem for some people. They can look at Top Gun and think it's dated, which it absolutely is. I think that's my biggest issue with Top Gun in general, is that you look at this film and you're like, yeah, you were made in 1986. Some of this dialogue is just so damn cheesy. I feel the need for speed. I just realized I have no one to high five, and now I'm sad. But despite that, you have some stellar direction here by Tony Scott, and you have magnificent performances in here. Tom Cruise as Maverick, I think, is ideal casting. I can honestly sit here and argue that this is Tom Cruise's signature role. It's what many people know him best as. And Tom Cruise would go on to do many more action films with Tony Scott in general. Tom Cruise was pretty much the action hero of the 80s going into the 90s. He would also do Days of Thunder, also directed by Tony Scott. Incredibly cheesy film, if you've never seen it, by the way. Even more silly than Top Gun is. But even on this rewatch, look past the silly dialogue for a minute and just look at the effort that Tom Cruise is putting in. He's putting every fiber of his passion and being into this thing. And say what you want about him, but this guy knows what he's doing when it comes to action movies. I cannot wait to see him return in Maverick next week. His camaraderie with Anthony Edwards, who is also excellent in the film here as Goose. Their brotherhood is just so incredibly endearing. The insults that they throw at each other, and just a genuine sense of comfort that these two actors have with one another on screen. You could have very easily been fooled that Tom Cruise and Anthony Edwards were fighter pilots together for a long time. And when Goose dies, yeah, spoiler alert, Goose dies at the end of the second act, you're kind of torn up about it. Yeah, the movie's very, very cheesy for the most part, but then when it gets to that portion of the film, that I think was the strongest part, storytelling-wise. Because in terms of that tandem and that brotherhood, you felt that loss. And I think they captured that absolutely brilliantly. Speaking of brilliant, Kelly McGillis in this film as our romantic lead, Charlie, excellent performance as well. This is someone who cannot be overlooked. If you're going back to rewatch Top Gun, her performance in here is great. Her chemistry with Tom Cruise in general is phenomenal. The dialogue that they share is so sweet. Again, as cheesy as it may be, that they're kind of flipping the roles here and there, especially at the very end when they reunite in the bar. And it's pretty much a recreation of their first conversation together at a naval party at another bar. I mean, yeah, it's definitely 80s romance action cheese and what have you. But the way those two play it off together, it just works. All these performers are fantastic. Tom Skerritt as Viper is very, very imposing. Val Kilmer in this film. Oh my god, this is a guy... Oh, I love... Val Kilmer. He is so fierce and so competitive as Ice. Just as his codename suggests, he is ice cold. A lot of his dialogue is never hammy or over-projected. He is very calm. He's very cool. He is oh so collected. And it's not really, like, these guys don't want to kill each other, obviously. They're playing for the same team. But just the way that they're able to one-up each other is just so entertaining to watch. And that leads to one of the most rewarding parts of this finale, where they finally embrace one another as brothers. And, oh man, just hits you in the feels. So while Top Gun isn't necessarily a perfect film by any stretch, there's parts that definitely come off very dated. And on a rewatch, I was kind of having a Full Metal Jacket effect on the third act. Like, that part with the battle wasn't really as interesting as the stuff at the school. If anybody knows what I'm talking about, Full Metal Jacket, the first act of that movie is pretty much all you need to watch in my eyes. That is filmmaking perfection, with Vincent D'Onofrio just taking down that drill sergeant who was grilling into him. But then once Goose passes away in Top Gun, it's kind of like, okay, you know, the film's kind of meandering a little bit. But besides that, I mean, the performances are fantastic. Tom Cruise is excellent in this film. I can argue that this is his signature role. The soundtrack is one of the best of the 80s, with Danger Zone and Take My Breath Away, which won the Academy Award for Best Original Song back in 1987. And I know it's one of the better soundtracks because those songs had a lot of impact on people. I still hear both of those songs on my commute home from my day job on the radio from a movie from 1986. So yeah, despite its problems, Top Gun is still very fun, and I'm gonna give it a B+. I had to rewatch this one before I went and saw Maverick next week, but let me know what you guys think of the original Top Gun down in the comment section below. Let me know if you guys are excited to see Maverick, or if you've already seen it. Let me know what you thought of it. Don't spoil stuff. Never. Okay? That's rude. But guys, if you're new to the channel, what the heck are you waiting for? Go ahead and join the party. Smash that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell. Hit that like button as well if you enjoyed what you saw today. This is all tremendously helpful to this channel. And guys, of course, stay tuned for all this other exciting discussion about all new things, movies, and entertainment here on my channel. I will be reviewing Maverick next week. I cannot wait. And keep on the lookout for me wrapping up my Jurassic Park playlist in the build-up to Dominion, which I am inching my way through the Jurassic World movies, and, whew, lots to talk about. But guys, y'all are the best. Thank you again for showing your support continuously on this channel. I am still so floored. And with all that being said, back talk commence.